I'm Alex Michelson. This week on The Issue Is, we look backwards and forward. Who are the biggest political winners of 2021? The biggest losers? What's next for 2022? We've got an all-star panel with us. Professor Dan Schnurr and John Myers and Laurel Rosenhall from the LA Times. Plus, do you think that taxes on the rich should be lowered in California?
I think it's an issue I haven't gotten strongly into exactly what we're going to have.
The moments that made news and went viral from The Issue Is this year. And
more and more people should be wearing masks, as you know.
So what do you make of that?
He did a great job, Alex.
A look at the fun we've had together. The Issue Is starts right now.
Broadcasting across California, California's only statewide political show. You're watching The Issue Is.
And welcome to The Issue Is. I'm Alex Michelson. What a year it has been when it comes to the news. The biggest story in the world this year, no doubt, vaccines. At the beginning of the year, there was desperation to get them. By the end of the year, others were desperate not to get them. The biggest story in the country, the first year for a new U.S. president. Joe Biden had some early legislative successes, but by the end of the year, his poll numbers were slumping. The biggest story in California politics, the push to recall California Governor Gavin Newsom. Although he won in a landslide, it appeared for a while to be a lot closer race. Let's look backwards and forward with some of the smartest minds in all of California politics. John Myers is the longtime Sacramento bureau chief for the Los Angeles Times. Laurel Rosenhall just joined the LA Times as an editorial writer. Earlier this year, she won Journalist of the Year from the Sacramento Press Club for her work with Cal Matters. Dan Schnurr is so smart, he teaches at not one, not two, but three universities: UC Berkeley, Pepperdine, and of course, my favorite of all, USC. Fight on. Welcome back to you all. Congrats on the new job, Laurel, and congrats on the good hire, John Myers. So, John, let's start with you. We're going to have some fun. We're going to go around the horn with some big questions. So, for 2021, John Myers, who was the biggest political winner in California politics?
I got to pick the most obvious one for me, Alex, Gavin Newsom. I mean, this is a year that started out to look to be disastrous for Newsom politically, facing that recall campaign. He won it. He not only won it, he won it handily. I mean, he won it by an enormous margin, and he won it in part by pushing back the entire dynamic of the way the COVID-19 pandemic has played out in California and his role in it. And of course, it helped that he had a foil on the other side in that recall campaign that worked to his advantage, Larry Elder, the Republican talk show host. And I got to say, my runner-up is Larry Elder, Alex, and I don't want to step on my colleagues because I think he probably came out of this pretty good for his political future. But Gavin Newsom, I think, is in an incredibly strong position now for 2022, thanks to 2021.
Laurel.
Well, John took my serious answer, so I'll give you my joke answer, which is Tag the Bear is the biggest winner of 2021. The obscure Kodiak bear that hardly anyone had ever heard of until Republican challenger in the recall campaign, John Cox, started taking him on the road to numerous press conferences and eventually even triggering a lawsuit from animal rights activists. So congratulations, Tag. We all know who you are now.
Unfortunately, by the end of that campaign, I think Tag had higher poll numbers than John Cox, which was not good for the Cox campaign. Dan Schnurr, biggest winner of 2021.
Is Gavin Newsom, despite struggles with his employment development department, despite serious struggles with the state's testing program, despite his own very embarrassing episode at the fancy restaurant in Napa Valley, he not only survived the recall, but he won it in such a convincing manner that it has elevated his stature, not just in California, but nationally, to a point where, given the gridlock in Washington, he's now looked at on issues like abortion and guns and other seminal issues for Democrats as one of their party's leading national voices.
Well, and not to be too cynical as well, but Kamala Harris's lack of success has also been good for Gavin Newsom, because there's no way that Gavin Newsom ever becomes president if Kamala Harris becomes president, and they're sort of going back and forth throughout their careers. He really is at this point where at the beginning of the year it may have been the opposite. That's my pick, Gavin Newsom as well. That's the obvious pick. All right, Dan, the more fun question, who's the biggest political loser of 2021 in California politics?
Well, it's not fair, but you forecasted that one also, Alex. I'd have to say it's Vice President Kamala Harris. She's really struggled over her first year in office. And while she has plenty of time to right her ship, it's very clear that many of the things that so many people saw in her that attracted them to her back when she was a United States Senator are no longer as in evidence. Kamala Harris is smart. The people around her are smart too. But I think the sooner they realize that she's at her best when she's on offense, being extremely aggressive, rather than on defense, back on her heels, the more likely she is to get back on track.
Republican who I think came out as the biggest loser this year, and that is Caitlyn Jenner. I mean, with the amount of attention and fame and celebrity that she came to the race with when she announced her candidacy, and then by the time it ended, how irrelevant she was, it was really a startling plummet. There's no other way to say it.
Mine, though, is Kevin Faulconer, the former mayor of San Diego. I think for me is the biggest loser, because Faulconer had wanted to be governor and still wants to be governor, from at least what I can tell, for a long time. He was seen as the great hope of the California Republican Party to come out of the wilderness, to find a way to win a statewide race. This recall did not fit Kevin Faulconer well at all. It was red hot on issues that did not work in Faulconer's ballpark. He had to run anyway. He became a bit of a pariah with the party faithful. There was a whole issue about whether the party was going to endorse. And Faulconer, a guy who governed in San Diego, which is a bipartisan city in a lot of ways, now I don't know where he heads into 2022. He may run for governor next year, but I think his star power is pretty diminished.
Yeah, John, you think about how much stronger he would be if there wasn't a recall and he was starting fresh right now as a Republican moderate alternative. Now it's really hard to see if he even runs at all. All right, we're going to go to a segment we like to call The Issue Will Be. This is where we're going to project into the next year. Laurel, let's start with you. What is the big story to watch out for in 2022?
Oh, just one? I mean, I think there's a few. I think education is going to be a huge issue in the upcoming election. Abortion, obviously, with the Supreme Court having an enormous case before them. I mean, as long as Democrats in California can talk about abortion, that's going to be good for Democrats in California, because that's an issue that voters here really care about. And then crime. Those are my three.
Dan.
Here in Los Angeles, where the story of the year is going to be an open seat for the mayor of Los Angeles, I'd emphasize particularly the issues of crime and homelessness.
The California Attorney General's race. I think this is a race that is custom made for this conversation of criminal justice and crime and punishment. The spree of retail thefts. Rob Bonta, the incumbent, Anne Marie Schubert, the district attorney of Sacramento County, who was a Republican and now is an independent. You're going to see a lot of back and forth on this conservative, liberal criminal justice philosophy. I think it is a heck of a race to watch.
Yeah, I think crime and homelessness are the big issues of the year. And Jerry Brown both saying we need to be tougher on crime, which is not necessarily something you would have thought, a little while ago. Laurel.
I would just throw in that on top of all of that, of course, you have the district attorney in San Francisco who's facing a recall. So there will be, a lot of attention paid to those issues there as well. And it does feel like maybe the pendulum is changing.
As you all know better than me, it seems like California politics, we swing back and forth between locking too many people up and not locking enough people up, and we have never quite got it right. All right, thank you for your contributions. Great to have you on The Issue Is.
Thank you so much,
for having us.
We go to break with a look at Hollywood Nights, thanks to the Above Los Angeles Instagram account. Up next, some of our highlights of the year here. Stay with us. You're watching The Issue Is.
Thank you for rejecting this recall.
The effort to recall Governor Newsom was one of the biggest stories we covered here on The Issue Is this year. But at the beginning of the year, it wasn't totally clear if the recall would even qualify. In fact, at the beginning of the year, Donald Trump was still president. Here's a look back at news-making moments we won't soon forget that happened right here on our show. I'm Alex Michelson in Washington, where this week we transferred power amidst unprecedented security concerns and unprecedented challenges for those in power. What do you make of President Trump's legacy?
He did himself no favors in the way he handled his defeat and everything that followed from that.
This is as close as the general public can get to the inauguration. You see here fencing, plus barbed wires, and National Guardsmen.
It's sad. It almost makes me want to cry. Like, you look around and it's just supposed to be so much more.
Joining us now in his first local interview since taking office is the newest senator from California, Alex Padilla. We appreciate this is the first interview you've done since being named into this role. More than 2.1 million people signed the petition to recall the governor. There is this recall drive going.
Gavin Newsom has a target on his back. There's no question about it.
I will state on this show, every single member of my family signed our names, provided our signatures to recall him.
Looks like it's going on the ballot, so we're ready to go.
For the first time in studio is Kevin Faulconer, the former mayor of San Diego, now one of the top candidates running against Governor Newsom in the recall election.
If you allow tent encampments on a sidewalk, you're condemning people to die on our sidewalks. We're better than that as Californians.
Let's start with that bear. Walk me through the thought process where you decided, I want a 1,000-pound bear by my side.
It's a symbol, Alex, of the beastly changes we're going to need to make in this state.
So this week, our song for you is from The Jungle Book.
For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities.
A sideshow of triviality and irrelevance, and that's just not my focus.
We saw Governor Newsom out with trolls, out on roller coasters. He was making pizza this week.
His bully pulpit is on steroids this week.
This is the first interview you've done on TV with the California journalists, and we're grateful that you're doing it with us here on The Issue Is. Do you think that taxes on the rich should be lowered in California?
I think it's an issue I haven't gotten strongly into exactly what we're going to have.
This is what I'm going to do when I win on September the 14th. I'm going to help Gavin Newsom pack and go back to his winery.
Showing the recall election in a virtual tie among likely voters. How much can a governor really do?
You could start to vandalize all the executive orders. You can eliminate the masking requirement for public schools. You can eliminate the vaccine requirements.
Closing argument is what?
Closing argument is go and vote to recall this man.
This week, the issue is California rejects the recall. If you ran again in 2022 with the same strategy, the same message as you did right now, is there any reason to think that the outcome would be different?
Great question.
My big takeaway is there's a deeper sense of urgency today than I've ever experienced in my lifetime.
Should California maybe pause its reopening right now? Is it too much too soon?
Well, I think they need to be flexible.
Are we looking at masks after June 15th?
No, only in those settings that are indoor.
The emergence of a new strain of COVID-19. The governor says that these mandates are saving lives.
It is not up to your tyrant governor to decide. And the fact that he is making the unvaccinated feel as though they are lepers and degenerates.
So George Washington, our founding fathers, they were tyrannical, horrible human beings that required people to get vaccines.
Are you a good, decent citizen? Are you vaccinated?
It's nobody's business whether I'm vaccinated. That's like me asking you the last time you got laid. I mean, it's just irrelevant.
Is there a public health benefit to getting that vaccine?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're living in the same country because we've lost 700,000 Americans so far.
If that plan passes, paint a picture. What does the future look like in California and in this country?
Well, Californians can expect better roads and bridges.
Do you support that framework of the bipartisan deal? Are you behind that?
Look, I definitely support the investments that the bipartisan deal seeks to invest in.
So, where are we at on the negotiations?
We're going through it.
Do you have the vote for both bills, though?
We don't have a bill yet, but when we bring it to the floor, we will have the vote.
Do you miss Matt?
Yeah, of course I do on some level, but I also feel that Matt has a lot of work to do on his own.
What do you think is the biggest misconception that white people have about black culture?
Oh, that's a good, awkward question. The biggest misconception is all around the intellectual capacity of my black brothers and sisters.
What's it like to do a spacewalk?
Wow.
Jerry Brown and his dogs, Calusa and Callie, are taking us on a ride we'll never forget. So this is all your property? You feel totally at home here.
Yeah, I do. I feel I have enough elbow room.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you inside one of these right now.
Arnold Schwarzenegger gets a tour of a series of tiny homes he bought for homeless veterans and their animals. I mean, that's got to feel so fulfilling, though, knowing that you're able to make this happen for them.
I'm ecstatic.
Now out on the road, talking to kids that are dyslexic. What is that experience like for you?
Started crying. I was triggered. That was me. How I feel? That's me, man. That's hard.
Dolores Huerta, who is an old friend of mine.
Dolores came up with the slogan, "Si se puede."
Yes, we can.
How would you describe your legacy?
When we talk about democracy for the people, that's us. We are the people. But if we are not informed, if we do not engage, then we do not have and will not have a true democracy.
Up next, some of the fun we've had, including dancing with the one and only Gloria Allred. Take it away, Gloria. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Andrew Yang. What other political show has Andrew Yang shooting hoops in their studio? No other show. Yes, we have a hoop in our studio, and yes, other guests, including the governor, have been invited to shoot on it. We have more fun here on The Issue Is than any other political show. It's a big part of who we are, and here's some of our favorite moments that made us smile.
You're disgusting.
So,
you're disgusting.
Comedian Matt Friend does 250 impressions, including Donald Trump. We are counting stars. There's lots of stars that are going to be joining us in the next segment.
And when you're a star, they let you do it, right?
More and more people should be wearing masks, as you know.
So what do you make of that?
He did a great job, Alex.
And then this happened. And you a big roller coaster fan?
And I'm a big roller coaster fan, and you're welcome to join us in a moment.
All right, here we go. The governor asked me to go for a ride in my suit. If you look closely, you can see us together in this picture.
You're the only guy who's ever been caught on a roller coaster with a suit and tie. I'm just saying. I mean, that was worth it for all of us.
Yeah.
Just to see that.
Newsom's political career has been a white knuckle roller coaster ride, and you just proved it.
We like to play some games on The Issue Is, including a game called Personal Issues. This is where we put 30 seconds on the clock, do rapid fire questions to get to know you a little bit better. All right, you ready for this?
I guess so.
Okay, what is the show that you're binge watching right now?
The morning show.
Oh, I just finished Bridgerton, although, no, I got a new show, Money Heist on Netflix.
Favorite TV show?
Leave It to Beaver.
I love All American, and I love This Is Us, and I love Snowfall.
Oof. You're killing me on this. CNN.
My favorite TV show, believe it or not, was House of Cards.
Favorite book?
Oh man, I'd go with probably Animal Farm. I used to teach that.
Oh, wow. Favorite book?
Lord of the Rings. I'm a huge nerd, so that hits it.
Best thing about being a Californian?
No. Carne asada burrito with extra guac.
Favorite liberal?
There are no liberals anymore. My dad's pretty decent.
What music are you listening to?
I'm getting back into a Radiohead.
Band or musical artist?
Beyonce.
We always end with music on this show, so I was trying to think, what is the perfect song for you? And then I just thought, well, it should be you.
Tick-tock on the clock, but the party don't stop.
Choirs will be singing Silent Night.
Let's go.
Oh, those are the dance moves you get at the South Bay if you go out with Arash Markazi. All right. We'll end with a little bit of fun when we come back. Let's go, Arash.
Forget politics. Our politics is going to be awful in 2022.
Yes, it will.
It will be awful. But that shouldn't define our lives. Our lives are so much bigger than the networks and the punditry.
Governor Newsom is right on both fronts. Our politics is going to be pretty awful in 2022. It's going to be quite a year. The governor himself is running for re-election. The whole House is up for grabs. We could end up with the Speaker of the House from Bakersfield. Plus, the LA mayor and LA County sheriff races will likely be watched around the country. And we will be here every week to do our best to put things in perspective and have a little fun along the way, too. I couldn't be here without the names you're about to see. We end with my thanks to you and my thanks to them. Happy New Year.